Hello and welcome to the Happy Hour Hustle podcast with our host Kim Bodie.
I am absolutely thrilled to be chatting with you.
Principal and fearless leader of 834 Integrated Communications. On this podcast, you're going to learn a lot about a lot, like public relations, marketing, digital, and advertising.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Forgive us if you hear some dogs in the background. We love them, and there's a medium-sized pack at the office at all times.
Fantastic.
So grab a glass of wine, preferably one with ice in it, and learn a little something today.
Hey hustlers! Today's episode is taken over by 834's interns. My name is Emma Nelson, and I am one of 834's PR interns.
I'm Loren, and I am also one of 834's PR interns.
And we are so lucky to be working here. We're so excited. And we thought it might be fun to do a little takeover episode and give you insights into what it's like being a college student, upcoming PR pro. You get the gist. So we are just going to jump right into this. Loren, first question for you. So we're going to start off pretty simple. What has school taught you about the workforce that simply has proven not to be true as you've started working here?
I feel like through being involved with so many things for PR and just integrated communications on campus, it teaches you a lot. But I feel like one thing it doesn't teach you is that a lot of the stuff that you learn will be used, but a lot of it also will not. So I feel like there's so many things and just simple communication tactics and strategies communication wise that you learn only by actually being in communication with clients firsthand. And I feel like some people aren't necessarily prepared for that. I feel like you can't really teach people how to be a good communicator further than the school curriculum, and then just having them actually interact with people. And I feel like making those actual interactions is really important for people before they jump into the workforce.
I completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the point of an internship.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Which is so simple, but at the same time, you really gotta practice before you're doing it for real.
Right.
But, we are still doing it for real.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Especially because we're interns. You're oh no, I don't want to do anything too bad. I don't want to talk too different. But I feel especially at this time and COVID and everything, literally just be yourself. And this is what we always say, literally, you can only do what you can do.
So true.
You can only do what you can do.
So true.
Yes.
You can only do your best.
Mm-hmm. I guess kind of going off of that, Emma, what I would ask you is, what did you expect about being an intern would be? What did you expect it would be like? And then how has it been for you thus far?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is I didn't think I would be doing actual pitching, writing press releases, doing actual work.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I would be given more kind of simple tasks, which yes, I'm still doing a lot of research, a lot of media list development, which is still very important, but I'm also doing those things that they do talk about in classes, you know what I mean? So my first pitch, I was girly, I don't know what I'm doing,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And so I definitely did not expect to be doing real work. I remember my first day, we were going through I think it was a social media meeting, and we were going through, and I was I just have to take a moment and say this is so cool, seeing it in real life.
Mm-hmm.
It was just so exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I really didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, no,
You know?
I feel that. I feel I didn't expect that. I feel this is how it is, this is what comes with being in the PR ad industry, because I feel I didn't expect them to just be all right, here you go, do all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm oh my gosh, wait, I'm actually doing shit right now. That's crazy.
Yes. It's also the fact that it reminds me to be confident in myself, because if they're trusting me with this, I have the capability to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's knowing that yes, you have the skills, you just need to actually implement them, do it firsthand. That's a part of the learning experience, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of ways that we're integrating ourselves into the workforce and doing things, what are your favorite ways to practice your PR-ness, sharpening your tools, honing in on your skills, anything like that?
I feel as I already previously mentioned, you and I are involved in PRSSA and then our integrated communications firm, Grand PR, on campus. And I feel those are two ways in which have been very pivotal in my understanding of PR. And I feel like kind of just interacting with the material that we are learning in classes. So rather than just like sitting in your professor's class, like soaking in the information, but not actually like understanding it from reading the book to just like actually just like hearing about it. I feel like mine is actually doing it. Like I'm a hands-on learner. I don't like to just read the book and then like not feel like I understand it because I probably skimmed it. Like I feel like it's like easier for me to actually do it. And like I may understand the stuff that I've read, but it's nicer to put it into practice. I feel like that's how I practice like sharpening my tools and honing in on my skills.
For sure. And I feel like that's kind of what you have to do in this industry. Like we were talking about, like you just have to do it. Like that is a part of the learning process. So you really can't just like soak in the info like you were saying. You have to really put it to use. So,
Exactly. No, I feel that. Okay, I kind of wanted to like detour the conversation into kind of time management. So I know that time management is something that like all of us are struggling with right now, especially because of COVID. And you guys are probably going to hear me say that so many times during this conversation, but I feel like it's so hard. It's so hard when your bedroom is your workroom and then your workroom is your bedroom and everything all into one. I feel like we have not traditionally been like that, especially not in America. And I feel like, I don't know, I feel like we're very like separate in America. Like each place has its own purpose. And I feel like within COVID, we've had to kind of overlap certain parts of our lives in ways that we didn't necessarily believe that we ever would. And I guess going off of that, Emma, my question for you would be, when it comes to meetings, social events, and the busyness that comes along with being an active college student, how do you set up boundaries and communicate what you need when you need it?
I don't. No, I'm just kidding. So like you said, we're all struggling with that. And I think this semester has been very like pivotal for me, like realizing that. Like I think I'm going to look back on this phase and be like, wow, she grew. She was really learning. She was realizing things. And Jules, our PR manager, Loren and I's bestie supervisor, she always says that no is a full sentence and really like just tries to tell us that it's okay to say no and set those boundaries. So I think it's really important to have people around you who support you and like tell you those things and really keep you hold you accountable, keep you on track. And then B, just like listening to yourself. I know Loren and I had this conversation like a month ago about if you aren't taking care of yourself, like how can you be a good sister, a good girlfriend, a good employee? Like you cannot do any of those things to your full potential if you're not taking care of yourself. So I've been really trying to set time aside in my calendar, take some time for me, recharge. But yeah, other than that, Google Calendar, obviously. Time blocking really saves me, like just really dedicating time, even if it's to, just in this phase of my life where I'm so busy, if I have to put an hour to watch Gilmore Girls, I'm going to do it just because if it's in there, I'm going to do it. I'm going to follow.
I completely agree with what Jules tells us and that no is a full sentence. Like, I'm not about to be like overextending myself if there's nothing to overextend.
No.
Like there's nothing else that I can really like muster up to even do that.
Yes.
So I don't think that should be something that we're doing. And I feel like that's one thing that like I feel like, not to be like that person, but like that's one thing that our generation is teaching other generations is that like we are not about to do what you guys did. Like
Exactly.
we're not about to just like kill ourselves over things that don't even matter as much as like capitalism will make it out to be.
Listen to Kim's episode about the Great Resignation.
Yes.
Heard.
Take everything seriously, but also don't take everything too seriously.
Exactly.
That's the key.
Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So I guess talking about boundaries, you time, me time, really taking time for yourself and surrounding yourself with good vibes. As we're heading into that seasonal depression time of year, Loren, how do you create balance within an unbalanced world? And this can go for, I guess, your personal life and PR.
I don't know if I ever will master it, but I can only get better at it. And I feel like for me right now is saying no when I need to say no. I feel like that's kind of what it always comes down to. But within regards to like seasonal depression or like overall mental health just affecting your work ethic, I feel like it's really important to make certain things fun. Like, you can't just be serious all the time. It's not fun. It's like draining. Like, it's literally draining. Like, I feel like you have to set aside time or something that makes you excited. Like, I'm not even gonna say happy, because I feel like obviously do something positive, nothing negative, but like I feel like we're throwing around the word happy a lot. And honestly, maybe you won't be happy for a while. Like, I don't know, happiness is very just, the concept is a lot.
Well, something that I think would resonate with you, honestly, maybe I've said this before, but Glennon Doyle talks about how we are like basically raised to think that happiness is our baseline. And that is not true. Like, life is so up and down, and that's what I struggle with. Like, oh, I'm not happy, so I'm like failing at everything.
Yes.
And it's like, whoa, who told you that happy was like what you had to, like, was the minimum? You know what I mean?
No, this is something literally like I was just talking about, is that like I'm a very black and white thinker. I don't really like the gray. I don't like the gray. I don't like the in between. I don't like any part in between that at all. No matter how close to black or white it is, don't like the middle. But the middle is life. It's life. It's literally life. And so like I feel like for you to believe that you need to either be black or white, so like happy or sad, like that's just so ridiculous. And I feel like it's the same spectrum. Like I feel like people make it out to believe that like your mood should be like one or the other. No.
Who says that?
No, who made that up?
Exactly.
Going off of that, like being able to go from understanding like happiness or sadness or black and white, gray, how do you set aside time or hone in on your woosah? So like what makes you just kind of like take a breather, stop and smell the roses kind of deal?
Heard. So I feel like in high school, my big thing was like driving around with friends. But as I've gotten just older and busier, I feel like I don't have time to just drive around, listen to music. So lately, my friends have all been inspiring me. I've heard a lot of people say that. Just driving around, listening to music or a podcast, going to pick up some Starbucks, driving past the beach, driving around a cute little neighborhood. Also, my family and my dogs are like two grounders for me, and I feel like when I'm not around them enough, I do feel uncentered.
For me as well, I feel like mine are, I'm trying to make like diversify it and have it not just be people.
That's why
because
I started driving
yeah.
Because I was like, I cannot.
Yeah, but like mine is my family. And I feel like one thing I'm working on, and one thing that you guys should work on, is if you find that your kind of grounding things are strictly people or strictly not people, kind of diversify that. I feel like, I don't know, we shouldn't really be focusing on one thing or another.
Having a balanced life.
Yeah, balance it out. Yes. Living in the gray.
So we must not forget the whole point of us being here. We are interns. So what do you think employers should know about their interns, their employees, I guess in general, but more specifically interns, that's what we're doing, and how could they improve the communication between the interns and the staff who's there every day, you know? Because I feel like we struggle with that sometimes, coming in only a couple days a week. There can sometimes be like a little disconnect. So in our experiences, your experiences, what are your thoughts on that?
I feel like most internships I've heard of do a pretty good job of this, and especially 834, I feel like they do a really good job of like communicating with us when we need to be communicated with. I feel like holistically though, like it's important to know that like your interns are usually students. And I feel like Jules said this the other day. She was just like, you guys are so many people all in one day. Yeah. Like, I feel like that is what staff and like management should know, is that like we are multiple people in a day. Like we're student, we are sometimes athlete, or we're in student organizations, and then we're also your intern. And so I feel like for firms, agencies, corporations, whoever it may be that has an intern, knowing that your intern is not only your intern. I feel like that is very key. Like, indicative of your turnover. Like, how many people are staying after you've offered them a position after they've been your intern? Like, nobody's gonna work for you if you don't treat them as though they like also are a human being. Like,
Correct.
I feel like that's very important when it comes to internships and businesses. Yeah.
And that's something that obviously at 834 they tell us that. I feel like on a weekly basis, like, you are a student first. Graduation is the main point of all of this. And so kind of what I was saying earlier about surrounding yourself with people who like hold you accountable, who push you to be your best self. I feel like having them constantly be like, reminder, like, school is why you're here. And so I feel very lucky to like have an internship that's understanding of that.
After you and I have kind of been involved with like PR and all things agency for a little while now, how has your view of what public relations and integrated communications field changed since being an intern?
Obviously, just seeing it firsthand shows how broad it is and how many things like go into it. And I didn't realize like the wide variety of clients that like one could have. I know that sounds kind of like simple, like duh, like everyone needs help with integrated communications, but from like manufacturing companies to apparel to like all these different things, I didn't realize that basically the PR pro, the communicator, the marketing specialist, whoever, they have to be on top of their game and know so much about industries that aren't a part of their own. I think just working here, I've realized how important research is and like how much research goes into a strategy, into a press release, into a media list, so many things that it really reminds me that you need to know what you're talking about at like all times, kind of like you need to be on your toes, you need to be ready to go, ready to have a conversation with a client and know what you're talking about because you want them to trust you and like they're trusting you with their business and you gotta follow through. Gotta know what you're doing.
One thing that I've noticed, and like I feel like I noticed it before, but I've noticed it even more now after, like I said, being more involved. I feel like you do have to know so much. I agree with that. You have to know so much about so many different things, and it's not even just like, I feel like PR professional, like marketing professional, like integrated communications in general, you have to know like a further scope than simply public relations or simply marketing. It's like if you're a PR pro, you have to know marketing. You have to know, honestly, you even have to know like investor relations. Like you have to know so many different things.
From 320.
So many different things.
And then just to kind of round out our convo, I know we mentioned a little bit about working from home. So Lauren, how do you get in the zone, really get ready to work from home?
Yeah, so I personally have struggled with getting in the zone like all my life. I feel like me and my family are all very just like all over the place, very much just cannot sit down and focus, like cannot. And I feel like for me personally, so like if whoever is listening to this, if you are like that too, let me help you out. So I feel like one thing that I've been doing like lately, like past couple of weeks, is Apple just came out with like the white noise setting on your phone. So lately I listen to rain. So I'll just pop in my AirPods, turn on the rain, and just like stare at my computer and just go in. And then if it's not that, it's just creating that white noise yourself. So like if you're in somewhere where it's like super loud, get somewhere where you can get quiet long enough for you to think about what it is that you need to do and actually be able to execute. I feel like just like getting quiet is something that you have to do in multiple parts of your life. I mean, like whether it's like you getting quiet and figuring out what you want to do with your life, or getting quiet and figuring out like how to do what you're currently doing with your life. I feel like that's very important, especially when you're working from home. So get in the zone equals get quiet, figure out what you need.
Well, hustlers, I think that concludes our intern takeover. Lauren, it was so great just to like sit down with you and ask more questions. Get to know you better, get to know what your take on this little internship is.
This is a big internship.
It literally is, let's be honest. As the lovely Kim Bodie would say,
catch you on the download. Also, I don't know if we're allowed to cuss, and I kind of feel like I shouldn't have.
No, I think we can.
I feel like
Girl, you know Kim does.
Yeah, true.